Welcome, welcome, welcome. Cynthia Harrison here from Rhombus Healing Arts for your intuitive energy medicine power readings every Monday, 6 p.m. Australian Western Standard Time. And looking forward to having a chat tonight and seeing what you want to know about, what we're going to discuss. Had a few things during the week come up that we could talk about. But I'm thinking, I saw a post today about tooth pain and the extraction of teeth. And anytime I hear somebody say they've got a toothache, I say, you know, which tooth is it? Because we can work the meridian to see before you go to the dentist whether that is over energy or under energy of that meridian. So I wanted to talk about that tonight and anything else that comes up that you might want to talk about. So I'm just going on my phone to share this post so we can get more people on and get a conversation going. Good evening, Mr. Smith. How are you? And so I was just saying that a few things have come up during the week that we could discuss and I could share with you. If you don't have questions, but I would love to hear your questions or comments or experiences or areas of interest, and happy to go where you need to flow. So I'm just finding where I am on so that I can share with some other people. We've got a couple on. I wish there was an easier way to do this, but I say that every week, don't I? And no one's come up with an easier way. So as I've said, tooth pain, meridians, and we'll go into that really quickly. I don't think it's going to be a long discussion on that. It's just something that I saw today on a post. Someone was saying they woke up with tooth pain and they want to go and get their tooth pulled, and I was like horrified and said no. And there's very good reason why I say no, because our teeth are conductors of energy. Our teeth are like coils and they receive information and they transmit information. So when we get one removed, you can imagine that how we're sending and receiving information is slightly changed. You know, sometimes we have to have teeth removed. I've had numerous teeth removed when I was young because my teeth are really big and I've got a small jaw. So they pulled them out just because, okay? So, however, if you don't need to lose your teeth, then there are ways that you can work the meridians to save them. So I'm looking down because I just want to share to my page and then I'll be with you. So think about your questions or what you'd like to talk about. Anything that's been going on for you, whether you've had tooth pain or somebody you know, well, maybe not somebody you know, we shouldn't ask about other people. And then I shall be with you. So Murray's saying, okay, I have been getting pain near the right temple in line with the eye today. Basically happens in a short time. Basically happens in a short time, isn't constant. Okay. Okay. So we'll hold that for a moment. And people that you know that you're usually on, invite them. And I'm just going to invite to 2 more places so that we can get some more conversation going, because this is about energy, and the more people that we have, the more energy flow that we get, yeah? So maybe this one. And what are your favourite groups? There's so many that it takes me a long time. So Mary's saying, haha, have sore gum too. I think it's an ulcer. All right. So not necessarily teeth, but we can go with that as well. Whatever your questions are, we can look at that. Okay, so I just want the light worker one. That's the one I want. Post in that one. Okay, so let's get started then. I light the candle because we never know if I'm going to do any readings. I use flame to clear the space. So I'm not sure what sort of work we're going to do. We never know. So if you're new, technically we do intuitive energy medicine power readings, which is basically just we have a discussion, we see what comes up. If it's something that I feel we could go deeper into, that can assist other people to learn about the energies and how you can look after and empower your own systems, then we'll go deeper into it. If it's something that's more generalized, like for instance an ulcer, everything is your body telling you something about what it's needing. Absolutely everything. The body's language is far more than how we move, although how we move is a body language as well. How I read the body is not the same as how you might Google is that person lying, how, what's their body saying. That doesn't overlay with how I work with the systems, especially with the eye contact. And I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go right into it, but there are something called sensory modes or sensory styles, and depending on what you are, what one is your primary one, will depend on how you interact with another person. So for instance, I'm a kinesthetic, which means I'm going to rarely stare you down and look you in the eye. When I'm speaking to you, I'm scanning, because I get my information through the field. I get my information through my body. I do not get my information through looking at, you in the eyes. If you're a visual, you will look somebody in the eyes. If you're a digital, you might do that too. But if you're a tonal, which I'm secondary tonal, you may turn your head slightly because you're leaning in a little bit. So to have a very strict guideline on how to read how another human's movement or what they do or don't do, just take it with a grain of salt, because there's numerous things that overlay to give you the whole picture. So there you go. I didn't plan on saying that, but it's come out. Hey Sabine and Bobby, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Rachel, hello. Good. All right. So if you have been here before and you think your friends or networks might like this, you could share. I'm going to get into the tooth pain. I was hoping the lady that wrote the post might be on, because I wanted to do this for her, but it doesn't seem like she's here right now. So I'm just going to give you the information, and if you want to know more, you can contact me. I think that's the best way to do it, unless she turns up or one of you have a tooth pain. So every meridian relates to one of our teeth. So this is more energy medicine, but there's spiritual understanding as well. I'm going to sort of keep it more to the energy medicine ways. It's more about tracking. So each tooth, if you had, for instance, one of my back teeth, if I'm going to get a toothache, it's in the same tooth every time. Now that is a tooth that relates to my stress response. So that makes perfect sense. If I go into a stress response and I'm not dealing with it, then my tooth will hurt. So I work out what's going on with that meridian, and there are numerous ways that we can do that. If you don't know how to test whether it's over or under, generally, so this is just generally speaking, if you've got pain, it's over energy. So we would sedate or calm that meridian, which would allow the flow of energy to allow that movement, so then you're not getting the pain, right? So let me just see what's going on. Hi Holly, hi Lois. So Elizabeth's saying, I'm clairaudience and I wish I could just turn it off sometimes. That's different to the sensory styles. I'm all the clairs: clairaudient, clairsentient, clairvoyant, clair empathy, clair blah, 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 right? I'm all of them. But my sensory style is kinesthetic. So it's a specific understanding of the stress response energetically of the human. It's wonderful. I've talked about it before. So if you wanted to go back in the archives and look for sensory styles, I've done lots of teachings on it. Actually, I did do one for a Canadian group last year. So go on my Vimeo. What's my Vimeo? Rhombus Star or something like that. Does anyone know what my Vimeo address is? And look for sensory styles, because there's a whole hour lesson just on sensory styles. And if you want to know more, then you can contact me. It's pretty amazing, but I've sort of gone off track because I love getting your messages. Hi, Shelley. Hi, Pam. What's Pam saying? You know, it has been such an interesting night. What comes up for me, my dear? Okay. Well, let's just see if we come back to Pam. What's coming up right now is the teeth and pain in the teeth, and an example, because most of us have stress and stress is related to the triple warmer meridian, which is the sixth tooth. So if you count 6, that's a triple warmer on the lower arch, that's a triple warmer tooth. And just as an example, but if you do have specific teeth that are sore, you can Google, actually, I would put an image, see if I can get an image that's not copywritten and put it up for you, or you can Google, but some of the tooth charts aren't all the same, but it'll give you a general idea. Now, what you can do is, for instance, you can sedate that meridian. Now, how you can sedate it is just running it backwards. So triple warmer, for instance, and Murray, I'm just thinking that the pain that you had is possibly linked to triple warmer as well. So triple warmer runs from the ring finger up the arm and up the neck and around the ear to the temple. So if you're going to calm that or take energy out of it, you're going to run it backwards. You're going to go from the temples, around, down the neck, down the arm, and off the finger. So you would do that a few times, 2, 3, 4 times. If you had a pain in that tooth, that particular tooth, you would do that for every tooth, depending on what one was sore. Okay, so you can, I'll just put that away. So you can trace the meridian backwards. You can hold the beginning and ending points of a meridian. So again, you can look up on Google where the meridians are. Or you can have, like, I've got wonderful little books that show you all the meridians, but you don't need anything fancy unless you work constantly and need the references. What else can you do? You can rub the source point. So that's a little bit more advanced, so I think I'll push past that. But you could flush a meridian. So it would be, if it's the triple warmer one, for instance, you would trace it backwards and then trace it forwards 3 times. So that backwashes the energy, and you would do it on both sides. So I've run through that really quickly. I feel like I'm, just run a marathon, because there's a lot of information squashed into a couple of minutes. But I don't want to do a whole teaching, because this isn't about teaching you. It's about giving you first aid tools that, you know, if you're interested in or you need them, you can ask me your question and we can actually go through it and do it live and give you some relief that way. Or you can contact me privately and we could go into it more deeply. What else? Did that make sense? I'm just going to check what's going on. I might just use, oh, I got my phone back, by the way. So I haven't had a phone for 2 weeks. It's been wonderful. But I've got minimal things on this because I didn't want to go back into the same old habit. That you might want to talk about. Okay, let me just scan so I can sit back and relax and look at your questions. So Kelly, good morning, Kelly. Chriselle, beautiful name, very interesting, and have pain in 2 of my teeth overnight. So Chriselle, tell me what teeth they are. So just count. You can go like just count from the front teeth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I can work out what they are. The reason I do that is because I've had, believe it or not, I got all my teeth, but I've had 8 removed because my teeth are so big. They didn't all fit in my mouth, and that was with my wisdom teeth and whatnot. So let me know if you would like to look further into the tooth problem. Lisa's saying mystery tooth pain. All right, so I'm scanning backwards because that's how I roll. So okay, so no other questions at the moment. All right, so Chriselle is, hello Renee, welcome. So welcome everybody. I don't know if that was interesting or not. So if Chriselle wants to tell us what tooth is going on for her, if not, I'm going to move on. And oh, Pam is okay. So Pam, there you go, Pam. And Shelley. Oh, really? So Pam and Shelley have number 6, right? Which is triple warmer, which is the one that I just said. So, ooh, I freak myself out sometimes. And Lisa is saying lower. Yeah, so let me know upper or lower because they're different, yeah? So lower 6 is triple warmer. Upper 6 is spleen. Funnily enough. Okay, so I'm going to have to write this down because I'm getting a few in here, which is great. Loving it. So bear with me. I've got my notepad, and because I sometimes I miss people, and I don't want to miss. So Pam, lower 6. So, and then Shelley, bottom 6. And then left or right, it doesn't really matter because you would do the same. And let's see who else we had. Lisa and right lower. So lower is 5, which is liver. 5 is liver. 6 triple warmer. Triple warmer. Okay. And who else? Tiziana? Is that how you say your name? Saying hi, darling. Hi. Okay. And oh, and Rachel. Nearly missed Rachel. And she's number 4. Teeth on the top fell out. 1 with each child. Ah, interesting. Right. That's really interesting. Gallbladder. So both my number 4 teeth on the top fell out. Gallbladder. Okay. So interesting. Sorry, I really get amazed with this stuff around how it all works and moves together. So Rachel's is intriguing because she can relate it to an actual happening. So when she had her children, which, you know, gallbladder, there's emotions to meridians, there's seasons to the meridians, there's smells and tastes and behaviors, how it sounds, colors, everything, like, you know, so how that all connects still to this day after 20 odd years, I'm still amazed. And those that work with me, my clients, you know, I never hide my amazement, because I you know, we're working away and we're tracking the energies, and it's like, wow, like, you know, can you believe that that showed up, and how it showed up? It just amazes me. So anyway, I'll stop rattling on. And Sheila, upper 4, had a root canal and bridge still bothers me. Bridge. You mean the bridge of your mouth? So 4. Okay, so while I'm doing this, my eye's just starting to flicker, and I'm just paying attention to what my body's saying. Hey, Renee, what are they? Hearts and something. Are they teeth? Let me just scroll on this. Oh, leaves, hearts and leaves. Hi, Melissa. All right, so we've got a bunch of teeth written down. Let's start with triple warmer. I have done triple warmer, but we'll do it quickly again, so that the ones that had number 6 will have an idea of what they can do for triple warmer. So, like I said, this is generalized. So if there's pain, generally there's an over stimulation, there's over energy. And so what we would do, again, generally, would be to calm that, or assist the flow through. So it could be because that particular meridian is congested for whatever reason. Okay. Okay, Chriselle has said top wisdom tooth. So what number would that be? Would that be 8? I'm not sure what number the wisdom teeth are. If you could just count that for me, purely because it's whatever's left in your mouth, depending, because all of my teeth have been moved. I had braces when I was 18 or 19, so. But generally, so wisdom teeth, 8, yeah, okay. So, and Pam's saying, what if it is a cap that is loose? If it's a cap that is loose, I'm feeling into that, because I don't actually know, so I'm not thinking about it. I'm feeling into that. To do with energetics, it would still link to that tooth, because it's had to be to have work. But I would go to the dentist. If you feel you need to go to the dentist, go to the dentist. But what I'm saying is, before you get a tooth pulled, you could try some of these techniques. And I'm telling you, you know, if I wake up, or if I'm going through the day and I get a toothache, I will just do these procedures and they go. Now, yes, I know what they are, but what I'm saying is I can give you the real basics of how you can do the first aid yourself. So, okay, so Rachel's saying number 5 on both, not 4. Okay, so 5. So liver on top, wasn't it? I think yours was on top. So not 4, 5, because that's different again. Okay. Okay. I just want to check something for Both of my number 5 on the top fell out. 5, 4. Okay. So your top and 5 is on top is stomach. Stomach. Is that right? Yeah. So upper arch 5 is stomach. Lower arch 5 is liver. Okay. And Sheila, what was yours? I've lost you. Sheila was upper 4. Okay. Which was gallbladder. I didn't actually write it down. So upper gallbladder. All right. I got so amazed with all the energy stuff that I forgot to write it down. All right. So that just makes it easier because I'm scanning it constantly. It uses my energy. So hi, Melissa. All right. Cool. We've got some work to do. All right. So pain and triple warmer. So if you have number 6 on the bottom, either left or right, doesn't matter because the meridians are both sides, then we are going to trace that meridian backwards. So for triple warmer, so for Pam and for Shelley or anybody else who has number 6, so you just count your teeth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it's up to. Either side, it doesn't matter, but it's the lower. So number 6 is triple warmer. So we're going to go from, well, actually, I'll try and show you this way, but this is triple warmer smoothie. So I used to teach this a lot for calming when you're really stressed. So you'd start at your temples, take a breath, and on the next breath you would come around the backs of the ears. So we're tracing the meridian backwards. We'd come down the neck to the shoulders and sort of give yourself a little massage there, and then sort of push it off. And then across the arms and come down the arms and then come down the ring fingers. Okay, that's for triple warmer. So you would do it 2 or 3 times. Now, you could all do it. It's really calming. It literally, Diane, Diane wasn't the one who posted the message, but she knows the person who did. I'm talking about tooth pain. So because I read a post today about somebody with tooth pain. Okay, so we're talking about tooth pain and how to sedate it so that you don't need to get your tooth pulled. If you don't need to, you may not need to get your tooth pulled. That's my point. If you've got a pain because of a meridian being over-energized, then there are things that we can try before you go to the dentist. That's why it's first aid. It's what can we do before going to the GP or before going to the dentist. You know, it's not about, you know, a pain straight away running to, you know, there are ways that you can empower your own health. However, if you feel that you really need to go, then of course go. I'm not saying don't go. I'm saying try these before you go. So those that had number 6 on the lower, tracing that meridian backwards. So try that and see how that goes, because there are other ways that you can calm that meridian as well. You could hold the neurovascular points that are on the head. I know that you know, so Diane's saying, how did you know I was here? I know who that was. I know that you know who that was, and that's why I'm saying. So when we finished, or share this with her so that she will know, because there are numerous things that she could do for her tooth pain, okay? So anyway, this is my service to you, okay? sharing the first aid. So that's how it works. If I see things in my field and I think other people can benefit from it, that's why I share. I don't share because I like the sound of my own voice, because, you know, I've got lots of things I could be doing. but this is my service. Okay, so triple warmer. Another place that number 6 could do is hold the back of their head. There's a place at the back of the head. It's actually, let me see, is there, there's a few points that you could hold, but putting your hand on the back of the head, that's the best way I can tell you where that point is. Or you could look up the neurovascular points. You could Google the charts. Thanks, Rachel. And hi, Winnie from New Zealand. And you could hold that point, okay? There are also triple warmer points. Like I said, you could hold the temples. So this is for number 6, tooth number 6 on the bottom. Okay, so they're the real basic ones. We could go into more advanced ways of sedating a meridian, but like I said, these are just little touching points to give you an idea that you can do something about your pain. Now, if you weren't here last week I did a bunch of pain techniques. Again, first aid, so that if you've got aches and pains or injuries, there was I don't know, a handful of pain techniques. So go and look back at last week's video if you're interested in that, because this is sort of the next step, I suppose, because we're still talking about pain. Okay. All right. So I feel like I'm racing. Am I racing? I feel like I'm going really fast. So Lisa and Rachel were number 5. Oh, hang on. They were different. So Lisa was number 5 on the bottom arch, the lower arch, which is liver. And Rachel was the top arch. So we'll do Rachel next. So we'll do Lisa first. I'm just going off my list. I wrote it down so so it's easier for me. What's Angie saying please to? Did I miss something? What are you saying please for? Anyway, let me know. Hi, Diane. Okay, so we're doing tooth pain and the meridians linked to it. So for those that have, I can see new people coming on all the time, so just letting them know. So liver. And liver is to do, when we have a misalignment in any of the meridians, which are related to the teeth, which are related to every part of the body, even our muscles, right? But we're talking about teeth today. You can reflect on, often liver is about, it's about a lot of things, but generally frustration with self. So it's an internal, I won't say anger, but something you wish you had done or could do for some reason. You know, gallbladder or the outside is more about anger to the external world. So contemplate that. I mean, it could be a bunch of other things, but I'm just sort of going on the first hit for liver. So liver is let me see. So liver, I'm just trying to think how to tell you this because it's it's down the body, down the legs. So what I'm going to do, rather than tell you how to, I do have a chart here. I just don't want to, I'm being lazy. I don't want to show you on my body. So I'm going to give you a different way because liver is from the torso down the bottom. Oh, and this is, okay. So mind the picture, but this is liver meridian, okay? But what you're going to do, we'll find another way to calm liver. And what we could do is use the neurovascular points again. So go to your hairline and there's points at the hairline and you can just hold the top of your head Actually, you could hold it like that. So you're getting the main neurovasculars with your, or you could do it like that. You're just holding your head. So holding neurovasculars are a way of correcting a meridian. There's numerous ways. Hola, Jamie. Hi, Lisa. Oh, I've already said hi to you, Lisa. Yep, spot on. Cool. It's the same Lisa. All right. So we could hold neurovascular points. We could look at alarm points. We could trace the meridians. We could look at the muscle that's related. So there could be a muscle related and it's coming through the tooth. It's a referred pain even, you see. So for Lisa, what you could also do, Lisa, what I'm going to tell you, rather than tracing the meridian, what we're going to do is from that picture, let's see if I've got a clearer picture. I think I do. Let me just turn this off for a minute. What manual is it in? I think it's in this manual. Just give me a moment. I just want to see. Oh, no, I'll just tell you. Okay, so on the big toe for liver, on the inside of the big toe toenail, so just say that is your big toe toenail, on the inside, that is one of the liver points. So on this picture, you can't see it really on here, but on that picture, see on her big toe, that's liver 1. And then under the breast, liver 14, so in line with the nipples under the breast, there's the end point of liver. So what you could do is you could hold that point, or just put your hand there because you may not be able to find where the point is, and put the other, you see my psychedelic pants, you put the other in my Ugg boots. So you're holding the inner side of the big toenail and under your breast. And so you would just hold that. You could even tap both of them for a moment and then swap sides. Okay, so I know this sound, is this too tricky? Just let me know if this is too tricky, because I'm assuming I don't want to feed you like real baby stuff, but I don't want to go too advanced if you're not getting it either. So because we've got all different levels of understanding here, so don't be afraid to ever ask me more or say I don't understand and that made no sense, because sometimes I speak really fast too. And I know that people have, I've got a lot of American friends, a lot of English friends. Half the time they can't understand me. We speak English, but I speak a different English to them. Okay, so it's okay. If you don't understand me, please, I won't be offended. If you say, can you say that again? Or what was that? Because when I'm racy, when I speak really fast, if you're not following me, then please ask. Okay. Well, Diane's saying this is good, but Diane, you know me well and we speak a lot, so you know my idiosyncrasies in my speech. So Lisa's saying I feel some relief already. Really? Beautiful. So there's so much more that you could do. So if you do have a lot of pain and that's not enough, please contact me or go a bit further into it. Okay, racing through. So Lisa, if that has given you some relief, we'll move on. But just know that tapping the beginning and ending points of a meridian is helpful when it's irregular, or not necessarily regular, when it's misaligned, when it has disruption in the flow. Hey Sarah, good morning to you. It's evening here. What else? So we'll do Rachel next. So Rachel was number 5 top. So that was stomach meridian. Now, again, stomach goes down to the feet. So what you could do, so if Rachel is here, or if you find that you get a stomach tooth, which is number 5 on the top arch, then you could hold the beginning and ending points. Now, one of the points is just under the eye, but what I would get you to do is just hold the cheekbone, like in line with the iris. So you could hold, you know, or you could hold under there, but I feel close to, yeah, just on the cheekbone or just under the cheekbone. It's not the exact ending point, but it's stomach 2 or 3, so it's close enough. The other end is the second toe on the outer edge of the, let me see if I've got a picture for you, on the outer edge of the toenail. Let's see if I can show you a picture. I'm not sure if these pictures are that clear on the, and they're a bit, they're completely naked and have genitalia, so, you know, just aware Facebook doesn't kick me off for nudity. All right, no, it's too small to show you, but I'll read the instructions. So so on the lateral side of the second toe, that doesn't make any, oh, here we go. See if that picture's a bit clearer. So you can see stomach 45 is where that last red dot is, okay? So it's just at the toenail. So again, put your 2 fingers on the toenail, at the bottom of the toenail, and the other, or you could lay your hand on the cheekbone in line with, so it's beginning and ending point of the stomach meridian. Now you can tap those, or you could just hold them. I usually give a little tap and then I'll just hold. So rather than flushing a meridian, which is just too complicated to show you on a Facebook Live, and I'm just being lazy, but this is a really powerful way of clearing it anyway. So you would do that on both sides. So after, say, a minute or so, if it's a lot of pain, I would do it for 2 to 3 minutes and then swap over and hold the other side. Like give it a little tap, give your toe and cheek a tap, and hold for a moment. Now, stomach meridian is on the earth element, and it's also linked to like worry and lots of other things too, compassion, over compassion. But stomach is like, you know, if you had stomach out, I'd be going, you know, what's the emotion around that? Are you over giving? Are you giving too much of yourself? You know, are you earth element? But if it's just the emotion, then I'd be looking at worry, you know, not so much fear, just ruminating over things, worrying about stuff. For that one, what else can I show you on stomach? I think that'll do, because even these, like really pushing in under the cheekbones, if they're sore, that's stomach meridian, and just giving them a massage. People that get migraines often, because you see I'm pushing in, I'm actually pushing in. People that get migraines, I've found, like, there's a couple of different types of migraines, but stomach migraines are ones that I used to get all the time. And I don't get them anymore because I worked it out. But mine had to do with my stomach meridian. And so I would feel, you know, I wouldn't be able to eat and things like that. So, which is most migraines, but they're a two main types of migraine, and there's one that is more to do with the stomach. So by pushing in on those points, or even just holding them, and there's one on the actual stomach. It's actually a stomach alarm point. So in between the belly button and the bottom of the rib cage, right in between, if you just flip your hand on that point, it will correct the irregularity of that point if you were getting stomach migraines. So anyway, if you want to know more about that, you can contact me, because I'm sort of going off topic, which is fine. We're happy to go off topic, but I just want to get these Sheila's gallbladder one done, and then I will go through and look at questions, because I can see that there's other questions coming in. So Shelley's had questions. Let me see. What's this? Margie, I have rainbow zag in my vision. Oh, when you get a migraine, you have rainbow. So you have auroras, we call them, or auras. Ania, morning. Sarah. So I'm just going back to see. Bottom left is so painful. So Monica's saying, bottom left is so painful under my jaw. Thanks. Monica. Under my jaw. So you mean under the jaw? Monica, just give me a yes or a no. There's a little bit of a lag, but under the jaw, that's sort of what it sounds like, and I'm not scanning into that or anything. Oops. But, you know, when you massage under there, if you've got soreness under there, because if you have, that's a stomach point as well. Yes. So that's a stomach neurovascular. So if you're pushing in under here, see if that's painful too. So Monica, massaging that stomach point. I would also be, so this is more like an intuitive thing, around your earthing, because stomach is on the earth element, and that stomach toe, the second toe, is also a grounder, a secondary grounder. So you've heard me talk about earthing and grounding a lot in these different ways. So yeah, I'd just be looking at that, and maybe going back and looking at some of the videos I've done on earthing and grounding in relation to those, you know, the kidney meridian, the stomach meridian, the bladder meridian. They're all these conductors that come off our feet in different ways as almost like grounding wires. Okay. And so if they're having difficulty flowing in any way, then we're not getting our full, how would I say, breath in and breath out of our energy. Okay. It can't flow as well as it could. That's why I'm talking about vitality a lot. You know, to be fully vital as a human being, these energies need to be fully functional and flowing. So, okay, went off a little bit on Monica's, but that was linked to the stomach meridian. So in my world, it's relevant. Okay. Good morning, Nan. How are you? So what I'm doing is I've just been talking about pain in the teeth, or toothaches, tooth pain, and what meridians are linked to those, so that we can release that congestion or whatever's going on there, give you an idea of what that relates to, so that you can move that through. And then, you know, after you've done some first aid, if that pain is still there, then you go to the dentist, yeah? However, my experience is that when we do this work, the pain releases, because pain is an over energy in a meridian, you know, whether it's in a muscle, in a part of the body or whatever. So so there's a few people that have just come in, and I just wanted to let them know what we're doing. Okay, so Sheila had number 4 top, which is gallbladder. Now, gallbladder is one of the largest meridians in the body. So again, we're not going to trace it and flush it because it's too long. It's too complicated for me to share right now. So what we're going to do again is do the beginning and ending point of the gallbladder meridian. So what that is basically the end of the eyebrow is 1 point, and the 4th toe, the outer side of the 4th toe's toenail, is the ending point. Let me just see if I can show you a picture. And these really aren't appropriate for showing on here, but it'll give you an idea how massive gallbladder is. Okay. So you can see on the head, let me see, you can see on the head that it's just at the end of the eyebrow, and on the foot. So what you would do is hold the end of the eyebrow and the nail on the toe, the second last toe, or the 4th toe, yeah? And you could tap those and then just hold them. Gallbladder relates to one-sided pain. So whenever I hear somebody's got a pain just in one side of the body, gallbladder's always, pretty much always involved. What I've noticed over time too in my clinic practice is that gallbladder seems to be showing up in relation to nervous system problems like trauma, not just one-off traumas, you know, ongoing trauma when people are not producing enough cortisol anymore and things like that. I'm just noticing, you know, I just handed in 100 case studies, and literally majority of those people were experiencing trauma and were showing particular patterns. So that's how I find out extensions of energy medicine, is by actually doing the work and documenting and seeing these patterns, and you know, not going, oh, that now is what it is, because we're constantly changing. Our bodies are changing, our environments are changing, how we interact with the environments are changing. So nothing's ever in stone. We're always, or I do anyway, I'm always checking and seeing what's going on for you. So when I say I'm really using the word generalizing, because we are generalizing with, you know, pain is to do with over energy, because it's not 100% true. Okay, it's probably 99% true. So it's a generalization. Okay, that's what I mean by that. So these are for, what we're doing is for moving that energy in the system. Okay, so gallbladder. So you do that on both sides, hold those points. So the 4th toe on the outer side of the toenail. Now I always use 2 fingers, so that if you don't know where the point is, it doesn't matter. You just put it on the end of the toe and you're going to hit the point. So if you just hold, so that's your foot, that's your 4th toe, and you're putting your fingers on the toenail, you know, at the bottom of the toenail, you're going to hit that point. Okay, so it doesn't matter. And then with the other 2 fingers, you're holding the end, sort of like the end of your brow on the sort of eye socket before the temple. So that's the beginning and ending point of gallbladder for Sheila's fourth tooth on the top. Okay, so I think we've done all of those. So let me know if that worked for you, or if you've got any questions. So now I'm going to just scroll through the questions and see what else has come up. So Sarah says, any way to help clear some blockages to allow things to release easier from these? Yes. Okay, but okay, let me go back because I don't actually know what you're talking about. So she said, I've been experiencing an uptick in anxiety and depression with bouts of past trauma flashing back, which makes me not able to function around anybody hardly. Okay. Perfectly my specialty. So we will, so I'm bookmarking that, Sarah. I'm going to come back to you because that's a beautiful question and a really important one. And it's something that I don't know if you know, but for people that sort of been following me, I've been writing these chapters for a couple of books. One's Resilience and Burnout, and one's about holistic healing. And both of those stories are about a part of my personal journey and the traumas and conditions that I've had in my life that I overcame. And so I've had a lot of trauma in my life. Not necessarily depression, but I've had post-traumatic stress. So I suppose you could add that in there somewhere, but more generally, general anxiety, stuff like that. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So I've just been writing about it today because the draft or the deadline was yesterday, and I sent it to the editor, but today I was actually still editing it because we've got another month really to do the final edits with the editor. But it was all about recovering from using holistic medicine, basically energy medicine and breath work, to cure myself from those. So yeah. So, hey Elizabeth, did I say hello to you? And Kelly? Not sure. So hello. So now I'm just scrolling through to see if did I do Chriselle's? I don't think I did Chriselle's. Hers was, she was saying, I think I mentioned it, but I didn't write it down. So 8, she was saying, all right. And so, yeah, top wisdom teeth. So all of this, everything that I share basically relates to stress and trauma, right, in some way or another, because when your system isn't flowing or isn't in flow, there's some sort of congestion that creates a stress on the physical and the energetic systems. And a stress over time becomes chronic and, creates our irregularities and our shift in wellness, yeah? Okay. So I think I've got all the questions now. No, Shelley. Oh, that's a big, okay. So Shelley had a big question there. I'm going to go back to, all right. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Shelley's. I have a question about ear, nose, and throat issues. I have a voice that comes and goes, as well as a sense of smell and taste and hearing. Initially thought it might be related to dehydration. And then I thought perhaps it may be a sinus issue. My gut feeling is to first work on my dehydration levels. And then if things look to improve, I will continue. But if not, I will look into sinus issues. Do you have any thoughts on that? I sure do. I have so many thoughts on that. Not only thoughts, because usually I don't think about stuff. I feel into it. However, the last month, I've had numerous people who have lost their sense of smell or similar, you know, whether it's because of recurring sinus issues and whatnot. What I would look at, so again, generalizing, and I'm not scanning into it. I will if I feel the need to. I'm just feeling into it at the moment. So what I'm going to say is that when we have anything to do with our breath, so our nose, our throat, I'd be looking at, so I'd be scanning lung and large intestine. I'd be asking you or getting you to reflect on whether there's a loss, sorrow or grief or something like that that you experienced that may be impacting you. Okay, hi Teresa. All right, so with sinus as well. So what's the primary thing? Well, I'll just say seems to be sinus. Okay, that's sort of what's coming in. I don't want to lose your question, so I'm just going to write Shelley. Okay, now looking at the tooth that is coming up for you as well is triple warmer, which is stress. I'd be looking at your stress response. So how is that coming out? I'd be looking at your earthing, how you're grounded, because when you're stressed, generally you'll have irregular energies and you wouldn't be grounding, so there wouldn't be flow. But I'm just going to scan something for Shelley, because lung. Okay. Yeah. So it's lung meridian. Pardon me. See how it affects me. So lung. When we look at what lung's about, like I said, generalizing. There's loss or grief, you know, sadness, sorrow, around releasing, those sorts of things. Now, what I found is that, oh, she's saying my connection is in and out and I missed a bit of what you were saying, but we'll try to catch up. Okay, so I'm just saying, I'm just looking at lung for you, because what I found in practice is, you know, anything to do with breath is generally linked to lung. Now, I'd be asking you whether there's any impact on your skin. Do you have any skin problems or rashes or anything like that? Because often the lung impacts the skin as well, because like it's breath, how we're breathing. Yeah. So our skin is the largest organ and it breathes us. Right? So if you paint your skin in a non-breathable paint, you will die, because it can't breathe. So just as a tip there for that, not to go right into a whole session on it, but yeah, reflecting on what your losses were or are, where you're grieving or haven't been grieving, what are you not it doesn't mean that you're not doing anything. It's a normal function of moving through a process of letting something go or something leaving, like a loss. There's been loss, and that can often show as sinus or connected to sinus and things like that. So a real basic nutshell, but now you did also talk about voice. I'm just going to check something. It's not, okay. It's not the throat chakra, which most people would have a guess at that on a basic read, but this is going into more about you moving forward, I suppose, in a way of you're going through this cycle and you're in, let me just say, yeah, and you're more in metal element. We're in all of them, but in that flow, it's about endings, and you're going into new beginnings, but maybe there's a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit more that needs to be looked at before you can flow into water, which, you know, is you know, life, new beginnings. So metal is more about endings and completion and things like that. So just a contemplation for you. Shelley's saying sort of still bad connection, we'll listen. Yeah, so just re-listen. If you've got any questions, ask me. Okay, so Shelley is saying a bit of eczema. Oh yeah, generally that's what I see. So so I again go back and listen to this when you've got a better connection, and yeah, I mean, the teeth, triple warmer, there's a stress response. Okay, we go back to the symptoms that are showing in the rest of the body, and it's showing that ending or that moving through the cycle. Now, triple warmer or the fire element, so this may not make sense to everybody, but the fire element goes straight to water. It's a control, not water, sorry, fire to metal. It's the control. So if I was working with you, I'd be looking further into that as well. But just to know, I'll make it really simple. You're moving through a cycle that has these endings, these end points, these completion points that you're transitioning and maybe struggling a little bit with it. So just look at that and see where possible you can adjust how your thoughts or your working with whatever that is, because it's creating stress in the body. You're not moving into the next cycle. Well, you will, but you can move more smoothly with contemplation of that, if that makes sense. Good morning from Spain. Yusoa, I think that's how you pronounce your name. Hey, Cindy, from Roasted Town. I don't know where that is. Sounds interesting, but I've got no idea where that is. It's welcome. All right, what else? Any way to clear, heal the inner ears? Not real. I can't say I know much about that. I would have to look at the energies of that because I'm not a medical doctor. Inner ears. So I would have to track the energy on that to know, to give you more of a thing. The reason that I was able to go into the other one more is because I've tracked the energy so much for that, and I got an intuitive hit on that. So that's why I was able to help that. But if in this Facebook Live it comes in, I'll let you know. But at the moment, I'm not getting anything on it. I think that's the first time ever. So bear with me because it will probably come in. Oh, so Margie's saying, she was saying earlier about getting rainbow vision, and I just saw, thanks for reminding me, could my vision be something happening in the brain? Well, vision happens in the brain. So the answer to that is yes. However, it may not be what you're thinking it is. So let me just have a drink and feel into some stuff, because there's a lot of questions coming in now. Margie was asking, I remember I saw two of her things earlier on. I thought she was talking about the migraines. She's saying she gets rainbows in her vision. And look, if you're ever worried about anything, please go to the dentist or the doctor. What I'm saying is that there are first aids that you can, first aid, energy first aid that you could try. So Margie's saying a rainbow zigzag lightning bolt. Wow, that sounds pretty awesome in your vision. I'm going to ask you whether do you experience anything else? Do you see energy or see different movement in the field? Do you see sparkles? Do you see, like, is there anything else that's happening other than the zigzag lightning bolt? It sounds beautiful. She's saying it's beautiful. It sounds beautiful. But that's what I'm asking. A zigzag lightning bolt. So I'm just scanning to see what that relates to in relation to my direct experience. I can't say I've ever seen a zigzag lightning bolt. So anybody else out there who may have seen a zigzag lightning bolt in their field, like energetically, it doesn't generally come to me in that way, but I'm not saying it doesn't exist. So I'm just going to ask a few questions about is it in one eye or both eyes? Okay. I'm just going to ask something. So you're seeing energy, but I can't tell you whether that is because everything is energy, right? So I've just asked if it's energetic. Yes, it's energetic. It's in both. Oh, so Monica's saying her vision's obstructed as well. Okay. So Margie. You know what I'm going to say to you, Margie, is to practice viewing. So if you're worried, if any of you are worried about anything, go to your doctor. If they can't find anything wrong with you, then it's probably energetic. But I would say to you, practice viewing. What that is that practice watching it, and in that stillness, see what else comes. Because when I'm asking about it, it seems like it's something to do with seeing energy. Yeah, she's saying she's not worried. Yeah, and so when I practice, how I know what I know is because I would view every single day. I still do. What that means is I'm always looking in the space between the spaces for what's new, what's changed, what can I see now that I couldn't see yesterday, and those sorts of things. And I practice. It's like learning to play an instrument really well. You practice every day. And so if I would see something, I would investigate it just gently. I would just sit in the yard or sit somewhere comfortable. Often if you've got like a white background is helpful. So many years ago, I used to lay on the lounge room floor, and because the only place that there was white was on the lounge room ceiling, because in my house, so you could see every wall, every room in the house is a different color. There are no white walls. Even the ceiling in here is a very, very light green. So the only place that I could get a white background was laying on the lounge room floor, and the lounge room ceiling was white. And I would view my arm or my foot, and I would just ask. I would say, show me this, show me the aura, show me my life color, show me the energies of this, that, or the other. And I would just wait. Yeah, she's saying, I feel like I'm upgrading or something. Yeah, that's what I get. But again, I'm just saying, if you're worried or you have some concerns about it, please go and get it checked out by the eye doctor or the GP or whatever. But I would practice, because if you're starting to see color in a particular way, just investigate it, just for fun. And see what else comes, and ask it questions. So asking questions is like placing intention. So when I'm viewing something, I'll say, show me. I direct it now, because I don't get shown anything unless I place my intention. I used to see everything just all the time, and now I have to ask. So I'll say, show me that person's aura, show me that person's energy, show me the energy of that tree, what's happening in the field, what are the gateways looking like I need to command it. It's like mastership now. I have to command what I want to experience. So maybe that's, I sort of feel like it's pretty cool, and that you will find that you'll be able to open that a little bit more. It doesn't feel like, I don't feel like there's anything disastrous about it. It sort of feels like it's some sort of energy coming in. But I'd be have a play and let me know next week, or whenever you can, come back and tell me, or just pop on and send me a message, because I've never seen a zigzag, like a lightning bolt energy that's colored. Like, that's something that I haven't seen before. So I'm always intrigued when there's new information and new ways of knowing, right? So so very cool. All right, what haven't I done? All right, let me just, there was somebody I was going back to. I know there's lots of questions. There was one way back that I said I would bookmark and was important about stress. I can't find it now, but I will. So bear with me. Was it Sarah? It was Sarah, wasn't it? Okay, just going to write that down, because so Sarah's saying anxiety. So I think we'll do Sarah, and then I'll wrap up if there's nothing else. We'll see, because I've got another call later tonight. So So she's saying, I've been experiencing an uptick of anxiety and depression with bouts of past trauma flashing back, which makes me not able to function around anyone. Any way to help clear some blockages and allow things to release easier from these? Okay. And I feel that in my gut. Now I've just linked in and it feels like, not good. Okay. I feel like I'm really rude, that it's easier to read the questions off my phone than, than to look there. So, okay. So Sarah. I just want to get her last name so that I know that I'm scanning the right person, because I know lots of Sarahs. Okay, there we go. Whew. All right. Very interesting. So what I'm feeling are literally some of the symptoms of anxiety. I feel like I'm starting to flush in the face. I feel like I have to go to the toilet, and I feel like in my lower gut it's like an upset, and these are all so like they're symptoms of anxiety. There are so many things that you could do. So I'm just feeling into what one's the most appropriate, because I'm going to have to scan this. There's so many things. So for anything to do with if you've had trauma in the past and then developed anxiety or depression, so it could even be early childhood stuff that you don't even know about, right? There's something in your field. Okay, so, and now the dizziness is coming in. So these are all symptoms of anxiety. So that's what I've straight away hooked into for Sarah. Now, you know that every single week I harp on about earthing and grounding, and it's in such a way that it's imperative for any type of health or wellness. And I'm never going to stop saying it, because it's that important. So making sure, like, it's not the way that you would have learnt, unless you've learnt it from me, right? The way that you think you're earthing. Believe me, I was working with a doctor, a surgeon the other day, and he knows Chinese medicine and whatnot as well. And, he's saying he's earthing, he's got his earthing mat and all the rest of it. And I quickly just scanned it all. He's not. He wasn't earthing. And we sorted that really quickly. And the symptoms that were basically he was coming to me for were relieved by that. Now, they're not the reason for as such, if that makes sense. So what I'm saying is, the stress response in the system produces irregular energies. Irregular energies stop the flow of the energy in the system. A disrupted flow of energy in the system creates illness, disease, inflammation, whatever you want to call it. Okay, it's as simple as that. I can't make it any simpler. So when I'm saying, earthing, What does that mean? What is that kidney meridian doing? At the bottom of the foot, is it frozen? If it's frozen, it cannot suck in or push out life force energy well. If it can't, it affects every other system. Is that stomach secondary grounder frozen or irregular? If it is, you don't have a conductor to assist your body's charge, right? And every time we get a shock, so whether that's a stress, something happened in our field, we get a shock to the system, which impacts our polarity, the charge in our system, our positive, negative, right? It impacts that. And you've heard me speak about this before, but it's worth saying again. Death is a loss of polarity. End of story. So you can go through a spiritual death, losing polarity that way. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about physical charge here, loss of that polarity, and you're dead. So every time you get a shock to the system, there's a little movement, right? So being grounded and earthed through all the secondary and tertiary conductors through the feet. So the stomach and the bladder, the kidney, okay? And there's other ones too, but they're the main ones that we can easily sort out. If you're not solid on the earth in that way and being able to use her field to support you, and so you move as one, then you will have physical impacts. So what would that look like? So at the moment, I'm in Sarah's energy, and it looks like anxiety and depression and a difficulty being around other people, and probably numerous other things. So what I was feeling for her was the general, I say general, but they're horrible. I had it myself, like, you know, hot flushes, dizziness, having to run to the toilet, having lower gut issues and those sorts of things. That's when your system is screaming. So I'm going to say the first thing, you know, I work with lots of people who are dealing with trauma, different illnesses and whatnot on top of that. And we need to get the nervous system regulated, but we also need the earthing. And they sort of, it's like chicken or the egg, right? Is the system going into stress because you're not able to earth and be part of the earth? Because we are part of the earth. Our physiology is part of the earth. The other aspects of us are the energetics, like the part of us that doesn't have polarity, right? It doesn't have charge. Call it what you will, but that's what goes on once our polarity, once we die, right? Once we die physically, the positive, negative parts of us stay on the earth. They become part of the earth, and we merge back into the earth. And what has no charge, the neutral charge, goes on for eternity. So we need positive, negative, neutral charge, right? That needs to be earthed. We need to be earthed. Once we have that, then we're looking at the nervous system. We're looking at what's going on with the adrenals. So I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago I talked about all of this. Just trying to think where I can show you more information, but I'm getting distracted. So nervous system. If your adrenals are out, if you have adrenal fatigue or adrenal burnout, there's really simple ways to sort that out. You can buzz the adrenals, which is just massaging them. And I've talked about how to do that in the past. Pardon me. or I'll quickly say for those that don't know. So you go from your belly button an inch up and an inch out, and you massage in there. That gives them a little bit of love. But there's ones on the back directly opposite. You could do the same thing. For me, with trauma or with ongoing symptoms, let's call them, so whether it's, you know, the response of the nervous system from a traumatic event, is usually the cortisol, how the cortisol is going in the body. And what I've found with people who struggle with getting back on track is because they've got lower cortisol, not too much. So most trauma or most stress is too much cortisol. But what I've found, and there's research out there on it now, but it's what I see in my clinic time, and it's a lower level cortisol. And so that requires different work. So if you, rather than it, I can't generalize on that sort of stuff. It's specific individual work, so it's not something that I can just give out as first aid, because it's not first aid, right? We need to know whether you're under or over in cortisol so that we could give you the specific techniques for that. And what I'm going to give Sarah, no, I really want to test that, but I don't want to give you, I don't want to give away your personal stuff either. So it's catch-22 really. Let me just scan something for Sarah, because it's yeah, so you're not earthed on the left foot, you're not earthing through that kidney. So I'm just going to clear that. But what I'm really concerned about, or not concerned, want to know more about, is the cortisol. Okay. So what I'm going to give, actually, I've just been shown a way to do it. Okay. Because you've got to realize that if I give you a technique that is for the opposite thing, then it's not going to be helpful. So what just came to mind was, Sarah, yeah, it's to do with your cortisol, and what I can give all of you that is beautiful, and I do this every day because it feels wonderful, is the Triple Warmer Vagus tool, which is what is used to correct triple warmer meridian, is what regulates the nervous system, or that it governs the endocrine system. So if we can give that a little bit of love, plus the vagus nerve comes down the sides of the throat. And so energetically we're tapping into that by doing this. So what we're doing is we're going from, and I've shown this nearly every week, I'm sure, but I'm going to show it again for Sarah. Go from the brows, which is a bladder meridian, and that governs the nervous system. So we're hooking in there. We're pushing in and pulling across the eyebrows to the, oh, what are these called? To here, the temples. Then we're going to come around the ears like before, but what we're going to do at the neck is we're going to cross in front of the neck and come to the heart. And I want you to do that a couple of times. And I'm telling you, it's just like, oh, it's a relax, because what it does numerous things, but the key thing why I'm giving it is because if your triple warmer meridian is positive and negative, or it's both under and over at the same time, real tricky. This is the correction for it. But it also assists with you know, the stress response, which would help with cortisol. I'm going to give you one more for the cortisol, because it's important. But do that one again. So go from the eyebrows to the temples, around the temples, and then cross at the neck and come down to either the thymus or the chest. So that one's for anxiety. But like, you know, there's no quick fix for this sort of stuff. These are little tools. There's lots of them, and I've given a lot over the years. But to go back over them all, the other thing is that between the middle, so the baby finger and the ring finger, you can tap. That's a triple warmer point. So you can tap it 10 times, leave it 10 times, and then tap it 10 times. As fast as you want or as slow as you want. Then swap sides. This is called a fear point or the gamut point. I call it the fear point. But when I had anxiety, I used to do this one under the table at big departmental meetings. I would just sit with my hand on that point under the table. You know, when I was this young 20-something-year-old and there's all these men in business suits and, you know, they know everything. So I'd be sitting there doing my energy medicine, right? So the cortisol one, last one I want to give for Sarah. Also, Rainsy's saying that is effective. So you must have done it with me. So that's good. It is. It's really effective. It's one of my go-tos. And if it's one of my go-to, like everything that I share, I've done myself. So I share from direct experience. I'm not, you know, if I haven't done something, I will tell you. Or I'll say, you know, somebody I know tries it this way or whatever. But, you know, the mystic path is direct experience. So I'm sharing from my direct experience and what I do and what's worked for me and my clients. So so that's where I'm coming from. Cortisol pulsing. So let me put this down. So I've got my belly button. I'm going to go an inch down and an inch out. And in those points, you can massage them. They're your cortisol points, right? And usually there's more tissue to get through. So you might want to sort of press in and swirl around. So just pay attention whether there's some tenderness. You might find there's little balls, little hard balls in there even. But just massage them. But for the technique that I'm going to show you, you put your fingers in the point, like your thumb and pointer in those points, and then have the other hand on the top of your head. And what you're going to do is you push in, and then you alternate cortisol points, head point, cortisol point, head point, cortisol point, head point. So you don't need to lift your hand off. I'm just exaggerating the move. But this one is wonderful. So, I mean, anything to do with cortisol, you know, whether you've got too much or too little, this is wonderful. So it's as easy as that, okay? So there's a couple of points. So if you have so Sarah, there's a couple of points for you. But you know, ultimately, if you're having a really hard time, get support. I mean, you don't necessarily have to come to me, but if you want to consult, message me or contact me, email me or contact me here or send me a personal message, and I can let you know what's available, how I can support you or mentor you or work with you, whatever way that you're needing. But specifically for trauma and anxiety, depression, things like that, it's where I come from. My background is trauma work. So my own and others. Okay, so so I know it from both sides, or all the sides. So I hope that's helpful. Alrighty. Oh, that's interesting. Monica's saying, fear, how can we overcome it? So what I'm going to say to that is that on one level, fear is a blessing. Fear is a way to be able to see what's beyond it. It's like the shadow and the light, you know, the love and the fear. If you find that you're spiraling into fear, then that's different, right? If you're spiraling into either end of the polarity or spectrum, but how can you, you know, I suppose you're asking from an everyday perspective. What I showed you, those techniques that I was talking about for Sarah, are really, they're for all of you, really. So that triple warmer vagus is for the stress response, so fear. The gamut point is called the fear point. So putting your hand on your chest and tapping in between the ring finger and the baby finger, about halfway along. I use a few fingers, so then you don't even need to know where the point is, but it's in between those bones. Tap 10 times, leave it for 10 times, like breathing, and then tap another 10 times and then swap. Tap 10 times, leave it for 10, tap. Triple warmer smoothie, that one, pulling off, coming down the arms. Now, squeezing down the arms sort of kicks in the parasympathetic response, you know, squeezing of the main muscles of the arms or the legs is helpful. So, you know, these are energetic ways. There are ways, so the fear response, I mean, so there's different levels to talk about that, but if you are regulating your nervous system, the fear response isn't going to be, you're not going to perceive what you generally perceived as fearful or a threat if your nervous system's humming along, okay? It ends up getting to a point where, you know, it knows what's going to hurt you and what's not. It's able to decipher. So what I would say is, for all of those questions, is around getting the tools, getting your toolbox of ways that you can regulate your nervous system. And that's what the energy medicine that I share and have for the last God knows how many years on all of these videos is for, okay? It's about regulating the system, ultimately the nervous system, energetically and physiologically. So those tools that I've shared, even the teeth. So if you've missed at the beginning, we were talking about tooth pain, what meridians link to it, because each tooth is a oh, what are they called? Not a conductor. Well, it's a conductor, but they're like a coil, you know, a coil which receives or transceives. And so energetically, some of you might even be able to hear this. So I'm going to tell you a story about this as well. So when you open and close your mouth, it actually makes different sounds, not just you speaking. What I'm talking about is energetically how the tones change, okay? So if you don't say anything and you just move your jaw, some of you will be able to hear the change. So that probably won't make too much sense to some, but the story is about the 13th crystal skull. So there are 13 crystal skulls in the world, and I'm not going to go into it. I can do that another night, but one of my teachers, Christopher Timms, he had a relationship with the 13th crystal skull. What's the lady's name? Someone Hedges. It'll come to me. She was the caretaker of this 13th crystal skull, which her father, who's an anthropologist, found in a well in Belize. And she then took over the caretaker role of that crystal skull. Now, the story, I could go on and on about this story. It's wonderful. But the reason I'm telling you is because it had a movable jaw. Okay, I think it's the only one of the crystal skulls that had a movable jaw. And when you move the jaw, the tones changed. It was sending signal. And it sort of, in a roundabout way, relates to what I'm telling you about the teeth. So you've got the jaw, but you've also got the teeth. And as we move our jaw and how our teeth are positioned and receiving and transmitting is information. So if we are removing our teeth, like I said, I've had teeth removed when to get braces when I was younger, but if you don't need to get teeth removed, please think about alternative ways that you can work with trying to keep them. If you need if that needs to go, then it needs to go. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. So they're all every part of us, our finger, our hair, every part of our body is an antenna, even our teeth. So our tongue, how it hits the roof of our mouth in particular patternings, is sending different information energetically within the body. It's amazing. So there's 72,000 nadis, strings of energy for our system, 72,000. And anyway, I'll get off my soapbox right now. I just wanted to share that. So, hi, Susan from Copenhagen. Hey, Kimberly. Each tone also has a corresponding color. Yes. Yes. And tapping alleviates arthritis pain as well. Yes, it does. I was going to go into zone tapping last week. I didn't get to it, but maybe we could do that another week. But I did talk last week about a lot of different pain techniques if you wanted to go back and listen to that. I think it was only about an hour or so last week. So I'm just going through these, and if there's lots of questions, so I'm just going to think we might call it a night because I have another call coming up. Okay, what's this one? All right, so this one I'm grabbing purely because it's to do with trauma as well. And it seems to be the topic of the night. So Laurie was saying, hello, anything for left hip girdle, femur? I know it's trauma related and I've done a lot of work, but it's still not releasing. Thanks heaps for any. So Laurie. So left hip, straight off the top of the head, because that's what it is. So our energies, so I'm going to go energetic. So our energies at the hips are lower density consciousness. So yes, left hip is our, left is female, or the yin, and about our, what would you call it, our self-esteem or our confidence, or like how we feel about ourselves. Okay, so the left hip is about that sort of stuff, however you want to word it. On the grid, the energetic grid, the grid that I work with, so there's different people. Oh, thanks, Diane. Let's just see if I've got an image somewhere. I don't think I've got this one here. No. So the grid, the triangle, so hip to hip, the left is trust. So if we're looking at the grid energetically, we'll be looking into how you're working with trust in your world. Okay, so maybe if you overlay that, so this is generally how I do it. It's like, okay, there's multiple layers and levels of information and how we read the information. So it's not just one, that's why I'm giving you a few. But if we merge that together, it's giving a bit of a picture of, okay, how possibly you are trusting the self to move forward, like where your confidence is, like what in your world at the moment or when this started was coming in. Do you see what I'm saying? If it goes down into the thigh, maybe look at past relationships, but generally that's in the arms. But relationship can be in the top thighs as well. But if you're saying hip, you know, that's what I'd be talking about. So trust. Trust moves in along the grid to truth, pardon me, which is at the center. So from the hip to the center, and then it goes to the, you know, up to the shoulders, which is higher consciousness. Okay, so lower density consciousness, you know, we get to truth and love, up to the higher ones, we work with those, and then we come back around to supreme truth. Okay, purity of love. These are advanced or original consciousness, you know. So that's, yeah, in a nutshell, what I'd be looking at for you. Laurie, is you know, you said something about it's trauma, but what in that is holding you back, like within your self-esteem? What is that? And I know that's a big question because I was writing about it today, especially if you've had trauma. You know, I'm not going to ask you what type of trauma or whatnot, but generally when we've had trauma, developmental trauma or complex trauma, which is usually to do with other people, our bodies tend to be the ones that are blamed. So we will blame our body. Other people might blame us, our culture, our society and whatnot. It's starting to change. However, what my experience is and what I see is that we generally start to hate our body or who we are or what we think or who we think we are. And that's not even really who we are. Okay, it's masking. It's all masking. What it is purely the symptom of what has happened. To me, what I got to for me and what healed me, I healed myself, right? I got to the point where I could love myself, my body, my physical, right? You speak to anybody who's been abused in or traumatized in some way. I'm not talking about a car accident or a fire or a flood, that sort of thing. We tend to blame ourselves. So, you know, why couldn't I get away? Or why couldn't I help that person? You know, because the body wasn't strong enough or something got in the way or it was a incomplete action or whatever. You couldn't stop the whatever from happening. It goes on and on and on. So then we go, oh, this body didn't help me. And then it goes, then there's the grief and shock and taking responsibility, all that sort of stuff that's layered upon us by us and by our society. So anyway, I've gone off on a tangent, but I just wanted to, I suppose, show you how our body is blamed by us in some way, and to move through that and to be able to stand together as one within the body. Okay, so we talked about the polarity and the body being the polarity, but the eternal self being the neutral part. But we're a three-pronged, right, plug. We're positive, negative, and neutral. And all of that together, if you think about it this way, is the self, the whole self, physical, energetic, spiritual, however you want to look at it. And when that comes together and works as one, there's none of that being less than, or not being able to stand in your truth or move forward in the way that empowers you. So I'm speaking to Laurie, but I'm also speaking to a bunch of you, because this is what it is to be human. This is what happens. So if you relate to that, then I'm speaking to you as well. Okay. All right. I just saw a bunch of things come in. So Laura's saying, this makes sense. My entire reality has changed over the past few years. So trusting myself to move forward seems to be old stuff, not me as I am now. Yeah. So look at that, because it's on the grid. And what it might be is that grid goes from from trust to truth. So you may be in that diagonal cross of the grid, going into truth. So that is like standing in your truth. So it's along that path, and it's linked to the hip, if that makes sense. So if you relate to that as a past, yes, and the movement through, so still contemplating that so that it can move completely through. Because as we move through our levels of understanding, we need to then look at those same things from the different perspective, because we've got more insight. You know how they say, what's that saying about hindsight? Anyway, there's a saying about hindsight, I don't know. So now that you know what you know, you can look at what's happened to you in the past, not go right into it, but just viewing in hindsight and be able to see it clearer, and now be able to stand in your truth of who you are. When you can stand in that truth, that takes you to the higher shoulder, which is brave heart, which is courage. I call it brave heart, but it's courage. So you see how they link? This is the energetic grid of the body. Trust to truth to brave heart. That's one was two grids, but on the diagonal. So that's sort of what it, yeah, hindsight is 2020. Yeah. So I feel like you're trying to move into your power, and yeah, I don't feel like you're wallowing in that. Like, yeah, like you say, you're moving through that grid. So remember it, maybe just even writing down those words, like trust to truth to I call it brave heart, because it's like, yeah, when I do my paintings and whatnot, there's always these flaming hearts with a rhombus in, all of my symbols that remind me or have reminded me over the many years of that path, that trajectory, and what the lessons were. And even though they were difficult, I wouldn't have got the lesson so quickly if it didn't come so harshly. It would have taken me longer, if that makes sense. So trust, truth, brave heart, or you could say courage, but I see that heart, like the brave heart, like my brave heart is standing now in my full truth, my supreme truth. Yeah. Like that, it feels strong. I feel like I'm, you know, the energy is like, yeah, yeah. So that's for you, Laurie. But if anyone else is feeling that too, it's for you as well. Okay. Okay, so this last one, I'm going to end on this because, like I said, it's I've been going for 2 hours now. But Mawina has said, do you have space to say about addictions, please? And I think that's a good one because it's related to trauma in a way. So that's what the theme has been tonight. So it's quite beautiful. So I apologize for people. I know there's lots of other questions and whatnot. But I literally just go with the flow and what jumps out at me, and you can see how that's worked. It's all related to a theme. You're welcome, Laurie. Okay, so addictions. So how I see addictions, how I see mental health, how I see everything really is slightly different to mainstream. Addiction to me, I'm going to say it this way, and then I'll try and explain it. Addiction to me is a lack of light within the brain. It's a particular charge within our system. So you want to look at it as light, as love, as because light and love is charged to me, is energy, is a higher resonance, or, you know, supreme resonance. Where we have, how am I going to say this? Where we have created a separation for ourselves, feeling this right in my heart. It's like, okay, just let me, okay. I'm not sure who this is, but it's full on. I'm just going to take a drink of water. So it feels like somebody got that really deeply, because it's like, whew. Okay. So where we have created our own separation for whatever reason, or the illusion that we're separate from that supreme truth, is where we dim our light. Okay. I'm speaking in metaphor in a way, but how do I say it? Energetically, this is what it is. We could take an EEG of your brain, and we know, I've talked about this in the past, but not in relation to addiction, but we know that when a medicine man or woman is doing their work, they have a high alpha peak. Okay, their alpha brainwave peaks, and I've shared a lot of my brainwave or my research on that when I had my brain tested and whatnot, when I'm working and that sort of stuff. But to just make a point, when we're in depression, anxiety, anything that we might call a problem, we're in a beta brainwave. And to do healing, okay, as I was about to say this, other stuff came in. So for me, I'll speak about myself. For me, when I do my work, I go into alpha or gamma. But I do know that's unusual. There's out of all of us that were tested, 30 odd, there was only 2 of us that worked in gamma, and it was me and a man. Anyway, for those that are interested, I can share another time. So what I'm saying is that by being able to shift our charge, shift the hertz of our brain and our body, shift how our energy flows, right? We create health and well-being. So what creates, or we won't say what creates addictions, but when we have light, so a scientist called Dan Winter talks about this. He's done research on creating more light in the brain for alcoholics. And the moment that that light or that shift in the brainwave state, if you want to talk about it that way, the next drink of beer that they have tastes disgusting and they can't drink anymore. Okay, so there's research on this. I've written about it before, I've shared over time, but the thing is that, you know, for those of you that have just found me or just come in, you would have missed all that work. So, so how we illuminate within, what that means is how we raise our frequency. What that means is how we keep our energy systems humming and flowing, okay? So ultimately, what I'm sharing every week is to assist you to illuminate, right? Because energy flow, you know, as it flows better, you get more vitality. You get more vitality. There's a raising frequency. Raising frequency is basically just the light. So, you know, but addictions to me are where we've cut off from the self. Illness is as well, you know, to some degree. Somewhere we're not listening to the self. So we could look at it as myself or the self. And when we're not listening, the body has to scream and it wants to self-medicate or self-soothe, okay? So, you know, self-soothing is usually an addiction of some description, whether that's sex, shopping, substances, behavior, whatnot. It's self-soothing. And self-soothing is, just thinking, I did a teaching about this a few months ago. I don't think it's a free one though. So if it is, I'll put it up. But self-soothing is not a bad thing. It's us trying to survive, trying to soothe ourselves. What I say is that if we have tools that are more life-giving, then we can shift how we soothe ourselves into more life-giving ways of soothing ourselves, if that makes sense. Because most of us, we're not taught, right? We're not taught the energy work. We're not taught how to move our bodies or to be with the self or to speak with the self. Like, what is the body telling me? So with Laurie, we're saying, okay, there's something going on with the hip. What's going on with the hip? Talk to me. Like, what, you know, I've got a pain. All right, what's that pain about? What is it linked to? So when we have more direct connection to the self, right, we can hear it and we can move and act and be in a way that's more life-giving, which brings us vitality. So for me, how I see addictions is a way of self-soothing, which is a beautiful way for us to be able to survive some of the stuff that is challenging, okay? It's challenging. So we try and numb ourselves, or we try to relax or get by. And, you know, over time it can start, well, an addiction is really just when it starts to impact your life, right? So when does an addiction become an addiction? Okay, it's different for everybody, because there's a lot of high functioning addicts, and they wouldn't see it as a problem unless they lost the money to be able to continue doing that, or the job or work that they had to do. It doesn't become a problem, so they don't get help, right? So I don't know whether that's what you were asking about, but that's what came up. So let me just see what some of the, okay. Okay. Right, so Kimberly's asked a lot of stuff, and I can't go into it tonight. I'm going to read it, but what I'm going to say is go and look for the earthing videos I've done in the past, because literally that answers this question. So, do you have any tips on controlling incoming energy? Sometimes I tend to soak in too much energy. For example, I'm near a power box on the side of the street. I could be in a car, walking, etc. I feel power being pulled into my body through my hands. Sometimes the amounts could be so overwhelming that I start to get headaches. And then I think this is still Kimberly. Let me see. Do you have any tips on control? Oh, it's the same one. Okay. Okay, so it's the same question a couple of times. All right. All right, so I'm going to answer this one for Kimberly, and then we'll wrap it up, because it's getting late here. And so, Kimberly, yes, majority of my work is about just that, and it does relate to the trauma and irregular energies. The difference is with your question, when we are sensitives and we have done a lot of work in relation to connecting to, source energy, so raising our frequency, often what we are is we are top heavy in that arc, and, we're positively charged. What that means is that when we're walking in the world and we come to the opposite charge, it will either jump on us or we'll jump on it, because that it's natural to have the polarity, positive, negative, yin yang, yeah? So those of us that are, this arc, we're like, connecting, often don't have a great arc on the lower vortex, okay? So you walk near a power line, or even near other people, and there's this energy exchange, whether you like it or not. It's like magnets. It will happen. So how I speak about and teach about earthing is to do with that, and much more. So what else do I want to say about that before I go into that? Taking on too much energy. So the earthing that I'm going to share a bit on, but it's a whole 2-day class and more. If you wanted to do it, I have an online one. I will be doing it again live probably in the next few months, but I'll let you know. I'm also going to do the advanced one that I've never taught before, so my clients, get access to that. But I've never taught, but it's ready because it keeps coming up. And this is stuff that isn't out there. So the Subliminal Stress, the Invisible Shadow is the course, and I'm pretty sure it's still on my website. If you wanted to know the ins and outs of what I've just talked about, even in regards to the trauma, because the energetic arms of the nervous system are these energies, triple warmer spleen and what's called circ sex or pericardium. They're the energetics that are really governing the immune system and the immune system and the nervous system, and our ability to metabolize our world, right? So not just what we digest, but what's around us, what's happening, how we digest the energetics in our world or the people in our world, how we can, how that penetrates us or doesn't penetrate us, those sorts of things. So I think that's the only course that I've got available. I very rarely do classes anymore, but that one is core work. Like people, that's what I'll talk about till I'm blue in the face, because that's what I'm seeing. So that aside, being able to balance those, the polarities, you know, the heaven and the earth, or the positive and negative charge. It needs to be earthed in a way that the earthing techniques that are being taught in the past no longer cut it. They do not work sufficiently for what we're dealing with right now in the world. Okay, so I talk about this every week in some way, shape, or form, and I'm just seeing what I can tell you to give you at least something. But if you want to know the ins and outs of that and how to, then go to that subliminal stress, and you can do it online, and there's a Facebook page for that you can ask questions, and I do lives on. I actually haven't done a live for a while, so I might actually go over there and do something in the next month, for those of you that are on that one. So, okay, let's do this. We've done it before, but on the bottom of the foot. Actually, so Kimberly, if you don't mind, I'm going to scan you. Let me just see what's going on. She just, no, that's fine. Oh, good night, Diane. Yeah, I'm going to finish up shortly. I'll just answer this question and then we can move on. Okay. So we've got a few other questions there, but I have to stay focused. So, so Kimberly, I'm just going to just quickly scan your earthing on your feet. So your basic earth is okay on the feet, but I've got a feeling. Let me just scan. Okay. So the kidney meridian is irregular. Yeah, on the left, and I'm going to say on both, but it's more on the left. So what I want you to do, Kimberly, is on the sole of your foot, where your ball of the foot, just under the ball of the foot, I want you to do with your hand is do that. Flip your hand on the sole of your foot. So your sole of the foot's there. I'm not going to put my foot up. You're just going to do that. It's like a magnet, because your hand is a magnet. It's like south and north, right? You're flipping. You do that 3 or 4 times on the bottom of the foot, and then, as you all know, you get your stainless steel spoon. Here we go. Always got one around. Because the stainless steel on the skin affects the nervous system in a positive way. So then you would, after you've done the flipping, you run the spoon over the bottom of the foot to assist in the polarity of that point, but also of your whole system. Okay? So you can all do that. I do it without even testing, right? I do it every day because of what the Earth's doing at the moment and the shifts in polarities and whatnot. It affects us. Now, and if our systems are out, we are more hypersensitive. We are, like, I could go into it, but go back and look at some of the past videos, because I've done numerous videos pretty much every week. I talk about the ins and outs of earthing. We have to. One more thing about how to assist your, okay, so I'm going to jump back a bit. Other things that I've shown in this video tonight, will assist you, because we're working triple warmer, you know, the nervous system, okay? What throws those energies out and makes them irregular, like I said earlier, but you might have come in late, is the stress response. So, you know, it's that catch-22, chicken or the egg. So if you're doing the polarity of the feet and the polarity of the point on the bottom of the feet, right? two different things, but what I just showed you is for both of those. I talked about earlier the stomach toe, how that's another conductor. I would say, I'm going to actually scan it for you, Shelley. Not Shelley, Kimberly. Don't want to scan the wrong person, Kimberly. Okay. Yeah, stomach. Okay. So your second toe is the end of stomach meridian, and it's a secondary grounder, and it's frozen on both feet for Kimberly. So again, you would, you use your hand. So if that's your second toe, you would be flipping your hand on the end of that toe, right? If you have selenite, I can't assume that you do, but if you do have the stone selenite, that is beautiful for correcting irregular energies. But that's just two. That's two of the ways that we earth through the energetic systems, and they're both frozen. So, I mean, I could keep going, but what I want to say to you is go back and find the videos on Facebook that, on my Facebook Lives that I've talked about earthing, and go through that. Or you can message me privately, or you could do the course that's on my Rhombus Healing Arts website. But yeah, selenite is beautiful. You could just put your foot on it, or if that toe is out, you could put your foot on it, and it most of the time corrects it. It's very rare that we have difficulties, but there are people. So I'm going to correct that for Kimberly, because I can correct it, but the thing is, until it might go out again tomorrow, and that's why they're tools, because if to do these regularly. So what I'm doing is it's like distance work, so I'm just flipping my hand over Kimberly's stomach meridian, okay, to get that flow happening again. And I mean, I'm not even going to go into bladder, but bladder is another way that we connect, our nervous system to the earth. It's another conductive path into the earth, right? So there are all these different ways. So let me just test if that's corrected now. Yeah, that's corrected now. So the last one I'm going to end on is the zip up. So zipping up from your groin to your bottom lip. And generally I'll do it 3 times. And it's an energetic line that basically just keeps you in your energy and other people in their energy. I'm not into protection, because it's all energy and it's all us anyway. However, if you're finding that you're walking through life and things are wobbling you a little too much, it just means that your energies are needing a bit more support and a bit more love. Because when we can walk through the world and none of it's impacting us in the ways that it used to, we know our systems are strong, right? And there's a whole, that would be in the advanced class, me going into why and how. But literally we become that neutral force. So we're neutralizing any energy that's around us. So our field, our magnetic field, becomes this neutral energy that if there are things in our field like subliminal stress, we're neutralizing it. It's not impacting us. But that's a more advanced understanding and discussion. So I'm going to leave it at that. So Shelley's saying, very interesting. For me, for years since. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for turning up, and thank you for all your questions. It's been really cool. I hope it was clear enough. I often wonder, because I'm just giving you little pieces of, larger protocols. But like I said, it's first aid. But I do hope or wish or want it to be clear. So if it's not clear and you need some clarification, please let me know. If you want a half-hour consult or reading, an individual one, contact me, we can do that. Or a full session, same thing, message me via Rhombus Healing Arts, or go to rhombushealingarts.com and you can contact me through that as well. Very hard to do when you are an empath. Well, that's interesting. Caught my eye. What's very hard to do when you're an empath? Because I'm all of it and I can do it. So there's nothing that I share that other people can't do. And I've tried it with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. So if you're in the mindset that that's not what you're able to do, then you won't be able to do it. End of story. If you, whatever you are placing intention on, that's what will be. So if you place your intention on, you have the ability to get to that stage where you are the neutral force and neutralizing the different energies within your field, so be it. But if you go around feeling that you're disempowered and that there is nothing or no thing that you can do, then so be it. That's your choice. It's your free will to choose yes or no. So yes, you can, and I'm a walking example of that, Sandy. You know, actually I was writing about it today. So, you know, how I used to sit with people and take on their pain and suffering, and I do that here. I literally feel when I allow or I go into, I only did it with a couple of people tonight, but generally, if you've watched over the weeks, when I'm doing readings and going into the energy, I will feel their pain. Now, I have control over that. I also feel people who have passed over, I'll feel how they died. They will show me in the physical how they died. So I will feel their pain of how they exited the world. And so I just want to say that not as a not as an ego thing, as an empowering thing for those of you that are really sensitive, because I can tell you what, I can feel the meridians going in and out within my own body. I can feel it going in and out on your body. So me walking through the world, a lot of my youth was in pain, not understanding. I now understand, and that's why I share this work, so that hopefully if you're wanting somebody else's experience, just to gauge your own. I'm not telling you how to be because we're all different, but just know that my sensitivity is ultra, ultra. I hear and see everything. I feel everything. I feel the birds flying. I feel when they move miles out, right? I'll feel their movement within my body. So it's doable, but it's work and it's knowing how. So if you want to know about that, maybe next week we can talk more about that, because I want to wrap up. I've been going for 2.5 hours now and I'm getting a bit tired. But I love that you brought that up and that I caught it at the end, because it's really important that we empower ourselves to know that we have these skills and these ways of knowing and ways of being and ways of moving through the world, but they don't have to be our curse. And I used to say, for many years, I used to say it's my blessing and my curse. It's no longer my curse because I control it. I'm empowered and I know how to move with it, and I know how to direct it. I'm now the director of my world, my life, my energies, and my physiology. And all of you can be as well. So on that note, power to the people. I just want you to know that you have that power. It just may take a little bit of learning of how to work it, okay? And it's doable. It's doable, I'm telling you. Okay. Mwah. Much love to you all. Really happy of all your questions, and I know I missed a bunch of them, and I'll see if I get time maybe during the week to go back through and see what I can add to. But if not, I'll see you next Monday. Ciao, ciao.